Hi YouTube. Today I want to talk about the structure of reality. This is a pretty big topic, but bear with me. I want to talk about this because I think it is important for people who really want to grow as a person, grow in their career, and feel like they can lead a fulfilled life. It's important to have this at the foundation. So in order to introduce this topic, I will start with giving 3 examples of where you can see the structure of reality very clearly. Then I will summarize to what that structure actually really is. And at the end, I will give some specific tips and ideas on how you can implement that into your own day-to-day life routine, how you can use it to build your mission and your roles upon. And as I mentioned, this is really at the bottom of the structure of how I visualize things in the tree of life framework. So that's why I put this video all the way at the bottom at the principle level. Thank you for joining me on this trip, and I hope you will enjoy it. Since you clicked on this video, we both know that you like the content of this channel and you would like to see more. So why don't we just skip this whole introduction phase and you just go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't have to miss out any of the content that will come out in the future, and I will feel more motivated to keep on making good stuff. So as Jordan Peterson famously says, information can actually be separated, and in meaning it is information. So basically what it means is that you have data that you structure, and that is what information is. And with the coming 3 examples, I will try to explain and show that systems are taking lower levels of data and making information of it. So structuring that data and then handing it to the next level of abstraction. And the first example that I want to talk about is the biological level. So if you think about your body, or even if you think about, let's say, the lowest level of life that exists, so a single cell, what happens there is there are certain factors that are affecting the cell that are coming from outside, and then the cell taking these as an input, making certain decisions, you might say, or filtering what is happening and reacting to that. So that is a simplified form of something is happening, then the system, which is the cell, is kind of a black box. Something happens in there and an output is generated. In your body, for instance, you know that cells communicate to each other. Let's say if I push onto my finger, then the cells get a signal that says, hey, there is something pushing, and that is all translated through my nervous system into my brain, and then all these are connected to my brain, telling me that, hey, there is some pressure here. So you're taking very low level inputs in order to create a bigger picture, let's say. This connects very nicely to the second example, which is also based on biology and nature, of course, which would be nodes in a neural network. So neural networks are, in a way, what we imagine that the brain works, but we use it for AI. That's basically what it's used for, machine learning and AI. I will just bucket that under the same name for now. So you have multiple layers of nodes, and you can say the lowest level of nodes is really external inputs. So for instance, if you're looking at the vision algorithm, you have a picture, so you have X by Y pixels, and every pixel has a value. And let's say that is the input. So you have an array of pixels, and they all have a value, and they go into a kind of the first layer, which is a filter that has weights for all of these pixels, and then decides what propagates to the next layer and to the next layer. So the first layer might just be there to detect certain patterns, and then the layer after that is there to detect a combination of patterns, and that goes on and on and on until at the end, the last layer can say, okay, I got all these inputs, that means that there is a cat in this image. So all of these individual nodes are pretty simple decision-making units, but the total of all of them is able to distinguish between cat or dog, or I don't know, a line and a circle. So this is how we imagine the brain works. This is how AI and machine learning works. And like I said, there's also a big parallel to how actually biological systems work. So how decisions are made in the real world, let's say. If you take as another example, society or a large company, you have very similar structures where the individual people or workers are making their day-to-day decisions and informing their next higher level and giving that person information. Let's say in a work environment, you are working and you are creating information that you feed towards your manager. Now, your manager is in a group of managers, and all those managers are informing the department manager, let's say. So that goes all the way up in such a way that all the information is filtered and going upwards to inform the highest person, the CTO, the CEO, whatever, of that company, so that he can make informed decisions. So as you can already tell, the higher the decision, the more impactful and important the decision is for all the other people. But you can also already see that the individual information that every node is giving is important because that is a crucial part of the decision making that will be made on at a higher level. So what do we see here? What is actually this overarching structure of reality that I'm trying to get at? The way that you should see it is that everything is based on a hierarchy where the nodes at one level are trying to gather information from the lower levels, make that into information, and then feed that to the level up. And as the information is becoming more and more refined upwards, that is also the extent to which these individual nodes are getting meaning. So that means that the higher you are in that hierarchy, the more perceived meaning you get to what you are actually doing, that it has an impact and a value. Now, the thing that is important to note here is that, as far as I can tell, at least, this hierarchy is infinite. And there are also many kind of feedback loops that the decision of, let's say, the CTO on where the company should go will have an effect on the products that they make and the consumer. So it's not necessarily a linear hierarchy, but there is always this kind of refinement of information, which is happening at every single level of analysis, as far as I can see, everywhere in existence. So it starts from the cell level, it happens in your brain, it happens in your family, in your relationships, it happens in your company, and it happens in society. And I find this a very freeing and interesting and valuable concept to understand, because it really puts into perspective what you are supposed to do here. You are already a system made up of billions of cells that are doing exactly this. So responding to certain inputs and giving an output to the next level of abstraction in your cell hierarchy that then informs your brain. And your brain is just a huge set of all these neural network layers that is then making a decision to what you are saying and doing and when you will make a new YouTube video, etc. And that will determine how you also, again, maybe what you eat. So how you fuel your body so that it keeps going, so that you can be more effective, so that you can be a better employee, so that you, I don't know, have more impact to the people around you, and everything flows towards creating more and more refined information. So what does this actually mean for you? How can you use this information? First of all, I think it's already quite valuable to understand how this works. So just thinking about it, letting it sink in a bit will change how you view yourself and all the people around you. But it will also give you a good idea on value that you can add, value of yourself, and maybe make you a little bit less cynical about managers that are higher up. Because in principle, if you are in a healthy environment, people that are higher up should also have a better capability of refining information, let's say. So in a sense, you would expect in a healthy environment, again, there are also cases where you have a lot of corruption, people who know each other get jobs that they shouldn't have. But in a healthy environment, let's say your manager or your manager's manager, if he or she was put in your position, should be able to do your job blindfolded. And one very obvious objection that you might make is, but wait a second, I have a lot of specific skills that my manager and definitely my manager's manager doesn't have. And I will grant you that. But I think that that's just way less important because, at least to my experience, and I'm trying to figure that out a little bit as well, but I would say that the specific skills that I have, anyone from my educational level, let's say, could learn within 6 months. And I would also argue that any kind of skill that I might need, specific skill, I can learn within 6 months for sure. So that's just like a temporary thing that I might need to invest in a little bit. And then you could put me in basically any kind of position given the level that I have in refining information. So I think the most important thing that determines the level in which you're at is the level to which you can refine information. The specific skill is like a temporary offset that doesn't really count in the long run, let's say, if you know what I mean. So I hope that this gives you a little bit more of appreciation for people who are competent and really higher in the hierarchy than you are. So the higher you are, the more humanly perceived value you add. But you have to realize this is an infinite scale, let's say. There is no end to that. And there's also no bottom. It goes down endlessly until, let's say, the fundamental particles of the universe, which I don't know what is the smallest part. You will always be a node. But you have to be a good node. And being a good node actually means that you are a very important and crucial cog in the mechanism of reality. So I wouldn't underestimate that. And I know that we have this human perception, so you also want to be valued in the human experience of it all. And that makes sense. You can define for yourself what is acceptable and enough for you in your human experience. But in the greater scheme of all things, anything you do which is effectively refining information is a good thing to do. If you really want to become good at it and rise up to the higher levels, let's say the levels that are higher than you are currently at, you want to start with the lowest levels that you are in right now. So that could be your physical body. What I mean by that is, if you are not able to create a functioning and healthy physical body, it's very difficult to be able to create a healthy and functioning team, let's say. If you are unable to make sacrifices and do the right thing, let's say if you are unable to follow a diet, if you can't lose weight, in that case, it's really hard to tell other people what to do because you cannot even tell yourself what to do. On the other hand, if you are completely able to structure your life in such a way that you can create this healthy and thriving body, and you know all your own pitfalls, you know when you are lazy and how you can tackle that, you are also better able to coach other people who might encounter the same thing. Other lower levels where you might want to start is your relationships and your work directly. So the things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis, how can you be better at refining information so that the level above you can make better decisions? Or how can you make sure that you are getting the right information from the levels below you? So really try to see as it is, you are weighing all the inputs to give a proper output, and you are optimizing the way in which input is created into output. And after that, you can make the nodes below you do more and more of the work that you are currently doing. So you're actually trying to delegate this decision-making process as much as you can to the nodes below you. So in a work environment, let's say there are people working below you. First, you're taking the information that they're creating, you are making information of that, and then you are transmitting that upwards to the higher level. But as you become more competent at that, you will also try to delegate more of that decision-making process actually to the levels below you, which effectively makes you do the work of the level above you. And by doing that, you give them the responsibility. They get to do more work from your level. You are doing work from the level above you, and you create more time for yourself to pick up different tasks and help out the level above you even more, become better at decision making, get a better understanding of how things work, and enable other people also to grow. So this is really a win-win. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I hope that it is clear that you are just a cog in the wheel of the machine of reality, but it goes into infinite directions both ways. It goes infinitely up and infinitely down. So actually the position in which you are is not so important as far as you create enough value to sustain yourself and to feel proud of. And if you think that you can do more, that you are tapping into that potential. So yeah, you can be proud of yourself. But in principle, every level of analysis has an infinite number of levels below it. So absolutely speaking, there's no reason why one level would be above another. Try to see this as freeing as it should be. Like I said, guys, I hope that this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if I could explain it well, or if there are still some things that you might have questions about. This is also, for me, the way in which I can refine information. I mean, I know this information, it's in here, but I hope I can also get it out to you guys so that it's helpful. If not, please let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my content, and don't forget to have a nice day.